Thank you guys for tuning in. You're tuning into another episode of Trash Can Talk Podcast. We got a real winner right here. All right. We got King Tilley, known to most on Instagram. Richard Tilley, probably known to his parents. What do your kids call you? Daddy?
Yeah, Dad.
Dad?
They definitely don't call
To
me.
his
They don't
kids?
even know me as like all that stuff.
Right. Do they even know you screen print?
Yeah.
Somewhat.
They're involved.
So, and then how we met was on. Okay, you on? This is how we met. I'll tell you.
Hold on a second, really quick. Give my man a shout out.
To the
Jonathan.
brain.
No, Jonathan Mercado.
I was just gonna bring that. That's what.
My bad.
Yeah, that's why.
I was thinking about him on the way over here.
I was gonna say, dude, I don't forget people.
Okay, for sure.
So
man.
let me go back to what I was saying. So
sorry.
I'm like, how we really met was Carolyn Mercado has been like a really good friend of our family, as well as John. But John, one day, Jonathan Mercado, who like I've actually come to love, was like, dude, I really think that you'd like vibe with. I think even like he's like a brother. He's like, we grew up together in the house.
I'll tell you about that in a second. But
Yeah, so and then it took me like 10 seconds of looking through your Instagram to be like, dude, this motherfucker's the truth.
Hey man, thank you.
Yeah. So
Seriously, thank you.
Yeah. And well, so tell me about that. We might as well give him a little segment on here. Tell us about
Yeah, you know what? With Jonathan, like I always looked at him as like an older brother, because I was the oldest in my family as far as the kids go. So like every summer I would go stay with some friends and with his brother Sebastian. I went to school with Sebastian, and I just went over his house all the time, played video games, and his little brother Dominic would be on the trampoliner playing Game Boy or whatever. He had all like the little Game Boy games, and so I just like they practically like adopted me. Like I moved into their house for like a whole summer. Right. Their dad Nathan just took me under his wing. I looked at him as like my dad.
Does that dad cook as good as Jonathan cooks?
Yeah, absolutely,
wow,
absolutely. They did a lot of rice. I remember that.
Yeah,
there was always steamed rice was always on deck over there.
Oh yeah.
And anyway, so Jonathan was a few years older than me and Sebastian, and he was just like, I don't know. I was just looked up to him. He had like a cool Prelude or however you call that thing, that Honda.
Tricked out.
Yeah, he had to. I think they would do like the street racing stuff and all that kind of stuff. So
was
like
Jonathan a wild boy?
He's
like a good guy to me. He's like one of the best.
He was different, dude. He was always just like doing his own thing. He had a really cool group of dudes around him too.
Right.
I remember one guy, I think his name was like Jacob or something. I remember he was a super cool dude too. But anyways, Jonathan was just like an older brother to me, and Sebastian, I still look at him as a brother. I still talk to him regularly, and Jonathan. And anyway, so that's how that kind of came about, and it was just weird. You reached out, and then you mentioned him, and I was like, what the hell? Like,
right.
And you said you were in Mexico or something?
Probably.
Yeah, you were like, we were on vacation.
Oh yeah, we were. It was there. We went to Carolyn and Jonathan's anniversary, and we did a wine tour with them, which actually, like, too, for anyone who's like, if you're sober and you go on an Ensenada wine tour, because I have a lot of sober people that watch the podcast, but like, dude, I had a lot of fun. He's like a tastemaker, Jonathan. So like his things that he does are like well thought out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And yeah, I mean, it was...
No, you know what? Now that I think about it, I think he went to culinary school or something.
Yeah, he had to have. I'm pretty sure he did.
I want to say he did.
We keep saying that he should open a restaurant.
Yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, the guy's cooking's like...
Yeah.
When I see on his Instagram story that he's like throwing things on the grill, I always go like, "Hey, what's up?" And usually he'll be like, "Pull through," and I have pulled through. Like,
really?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy, man. Yeah, I think he's in Florida now, right?
No.
No.
He's right down the street.
He's here?
He's like a block away.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I want to see him tonight.
I mean, he'll let you. They're for sure those kind of people that will let you just pull through. He's literally one block away.
I didn't know that. I thought he was in Florida.
No, him and Carolyn. I mean, Carolyn used to work at the salon. Then she actually worked at NoHo. She did the merchandising.
Absolutely.
You know about Carolyn does kind of like merchandising kind of stuff, but from the retail store side.
he reached out to me.
Carolyn Mercado's a beast too. What a
Yeah, for
power
sure.
couple, dude, for real.
Yeah, he had her reach out in a little group DM and just asking for a little advice. I just gave him, what I could to help with what she was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. This
Yeah.
was recently too, like a month ago. So, anyways, man, what is the trash can thing?
So like the trash can thing with me. Well, to be honest with you, so like the trash can cut. There used to be a thing called Viva Swag, and on Melrose, it might be that. I can't remember. So it showcased. Yeah, it was a flash. It was so big like back when the internet just started. It was like a Facebook group or maybe even MySpace group at the time, and then they segued into like an online magazine. So I used to work on Melrose, and I was doing stylist work. And for some reason, I have the article. I'd have to like look back at Facebook, but they're like, we just met Brandon O'Connell, and he said today was his laundry day because I had like this shitty ass shirt, like high water jeans. They're like cut off right here. I had like a straw hat on, and they're just like this guy. They just said like this guy's a trash can cut stylist, and I fucking loved that. Like I was like, dude,
Okay, that
that's
makes
me.
sense. Yeah.
Now, when fast forward, the reason why I adopted this is because as I started working with like nonprofits, creating digital assets for marketing for different companies, companies that started to attach themselves to my name, they were like, you got to get rid of that name. And I refused to get rid of the name.
Yeah.
And then people asked me, well, can you make another Instagram that's Brandon.O'Connell or something without that name? And I've just adamantly refused. And ever since that happened, then I was like, actually, I want to go full throttle with the trash can thing because I kind of feel that it's like, at this point, people are going to fuck with me regardless because whether it be
Though it's you that they fuck with. It's
yeah,
not because of your name.
right,
But I'll say this, man. Maybe do what you just did right now. Make a piece of content explaining the name, or
right.
like a reel that is like
We could cut
creative,
it.
explaining. No, but I mean like actually like make
Y'all
something,
look right at the
like
camera.
make something that like shows that style and shows like a visual of what you just said right now, and then pin that to the top of your feed,
Yeah.
so that it's always right there. Who or where does this name come from, or make
Yeah.
whatever.
I mean, there's multiple layers to it, though. It's like, I like respect the fact that like at times I had to eat out the trash and stuff. You know what I mean? Like looking back at them, because I remember just being like you just got to do what you got to do to survive at certain points,
Mm-hmm.
and some of those times that happened, and everything about it though. You know what I mean? Like there's so much there. It's like this. Whenever I see something that like continually like keeps coming into my life,
Yeah.
like I'm just like I'm gonna adopt this into the.
To
I'm
your
like working on
universe.
another thing that I don't even want to like talk about.
Don't say anything.
Yeah.
Don't say anything.
But the next thing is gonna be even more. Like I think it's gonna literally, it's gonna change how people view trash. And you know what I mean? And that's and really too. I just want. It's another thing too of people. I've literally heard people say that person's trash, or like that human being's like trash.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And
Well, I mean, what led you to being like that?
to being like
To
what?
being like to being able to identify as trash.
Uh, cause I don't know. I've always liked the idea of like
But
taking.
what was what am I trying to say? Like what led to your life being trash? Like
Oh yeah.
what took you were you ever a normal person, or was it always just trash and then it just got crazier and crazier?
So like at the age of like 7, 8, 9-ish, my dad had introduced me to like Fear. Like he loved Red Hot Chili Peppers,
Mm-hmm.
Jimi Hendrix. So like then I kind of got into like Johnny Thunders, New York Dolls, The Germs, and that I it's fucked up because like at a young age I wanted to be what I became. So like I didn't know that Jimi Hendrix was frying on acid as he's like lighting the guitar on fire,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, what is he doing? He's like praying to this guitar because he's frying.
Yeah.
And then I didn't know that Johnny Thunders, when he was playing and he's like passing out, it was because of that. And the same with like Darby Crash. But like even before I found heroin, I wanted to be that. And the New York Dolls have that song Crash. Pick it up. Trash. Yeah, pick it up. And I don't. I've had. Have you ever heard of Trash on Vaudeville?
Mm-mm.
It's a store that Jimmy used to run in New York. Like I've never been there because he passed away by the time I actually made it to New York. But there was so much alluring things like with Johnny and to Trash.
So just like this grungy, just dirty style.
For some reason, I attached to like glamour to Trash.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like it was like when I think of Trash, I think of like this like glitter New York Dolls punk, like that pink print, like screen printing on black,
Mm-hmm.
or like the neon green. Like I don't know. I've had an allure to the idea that like rock and roll perceived as like trash since I was a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's cool. So then, you were always just kind of like that.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like you did a bunch of drugs, life went to shit, and then you were just living in a trash can.
Dude, so like the crazy thing is, I literally, and I was talking about it with our videographer right here, shout out to the brain, right before this, like, my life wasn't bad till I really started just like slamming meth all the time. Meth, and he asked me, like, what did you say, like, did I sell my soul to the devil?
Yeah, I should have asked. I mentioned
Yeah.
him like yesterday, bro.
Nah, cause he saw the soft white underbelly episode, right?
Okay.
And
So-
now you're like a fucking, you're like what, like
6 years sober,
Yeah, like,
like
what
I
the fuck?
run some businesses, but
Yeah.
like he's like, did you sell your soul to the devil? And I was like, there's something demonic about how methamphetamine and I react to methamphetamine, very demonic.
Mm-hmm.
I lose it. Like I could do a shot right now, and like I'll take my shoes off and like walk to the beach, in front of cars, and I'll probably, by the morning, since we're in San Diego, not LA, I'll be in a mental health facility. Guarantee.
And you won't even know how you got there.
Won't even know how I got there, and who knows what, you know what I mean? What I like.
You know, man, I probably wouldn't do that. Ever.
If you did meth, or probably wouldn't do meth ever.
I'm saying you, like, if you knew that was going to happen, I would never do that.
I hope that I mean, knock on
Not now. I'm saying even
wood, that I
then.
literally.
Even then.
Yeah, I didn't know it was gonna happen.
Damn.
I didn't know. And the fucked up thing about when I do meth is I don't know that it's happening. Whatever conscious thing that there is in
You
my
just
mind.
kind of black out.
Yeah.
So you have an entity that takes over you because you're in such a low vibration that, just like with alcohol, you know, when you drink and you know how people black out and they're like I don't know how I did everything I did, half the time they don't remember it.
Right.
There's something else because you're in such a low vibration that takes over your body and controls you. So that's why it's called spirits,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, with the
That's
alcohol.
why alcohol is called spirits, because it's putting you in a low vibration. And if you notice, a lot of things when people are drunk, like, it's all low vibrational shit that happens. Fighting, and you know, people do like they'll cheat on their spouses or whatever.
Right.
Like, it's all this like low vibe stuff that happens. Car accidents, DUIs, just shit like that. It's all low vibe stuff, and that's why you just stay away from all that shit, man. Because
Right.
something's just taking over your body and controlling you. It's not even you.
Yeah. It's dude, and that's, dude, the craziest thing too is like with the meth, I'm telling you, like, as soon as that shit goes in my veins, because it's also different from me smoking it and slamming it.
Mm-hmm.
The slamming it is really what immediately, like, so I could be fine right now, and I get slammed the meth, immediately everyone is out to get me. There's the car
puts you in
chasing
paranoia.
the cars. Every single car is chasing me.
Yeah.
I see a car pulling out as we drive, and then when I go to the next block, I see one parking. And the phone's tapped. I hear whispering.
Yeah, I got like that one time.
So
Not meth though.
they say there are some people that say that there's a meth-induced schizophrenia or psychosis.
Yeah, for sure. That's
There are some
1,000%
people-
what that is.
Now there are some doctors who say that that is not what that is.
No way.
But I just talked to someone 2 days ago, and I tried to explain them that it is 100%. But I'm talking to a medication company that's trying to sell me a medication for schizophrenia, and they're like, nope, like, because they probably always want you to be on that medication, so they're like, no, you just always have schizophrenia.
Yeah, it
There is
doesn't go away.
Yeah, there is no turning off. You should be
Yeah.
like giving yourself a shot right now. But like, I know that there is. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, you've experienced it.
I've experienced.
These
I
are people that
literally
are just
life-
for profit,
Yeah.
trying to figure out a way and pitch sales. You
Yeah.
know firsthand what's going on and what it is.
And I know too, for like, cause dude, and this is, I get so many people that come into treatment that like this takes, and I'll attest to it. This takes years to shake though. After it's been the way you've lived.
What, drugs?
No, that psychosis.
Oh,
So the people that think that like because I'm sober, why is it still happening? Let me tell you right now, it kept happening to me for like 2 years.
really?
Because I was so, after using for so many years, like that last 3 to 6 years, I was so convinced it was happening. Mind you, I did have a case open with the Glendale Police Department, the Burbank Police Department that were watching me, and I was doing illegal things, and these things were things that I ended up going to jail with. So someone was watching me, which I'm sure doesn't help
Yeah.
when you're in like a
Because
me-
you've actually had it?
So they were actually watching me, but definitely not to the extent that my mind convinced me that they were. Now, anyone who actually wants to go onto my Facebook and go back years, I would like turn my camera on every night, and I would say to Facebook, they're watching me. They're about to come inside the door right now. I'm gonna kill myself on live. Or no. This is what I say. They're about to kill me, and you're gonna see it live. But hopefully that I'm gonna do, and I would live. There's people too that literally would watch this, and only 2 people towards the end. One of them was my friend's mom, the only one that logged in every time to see if I was okay, and I'd make it, and she'd sit there and watch all the way till I woke up, and the live would still be going. But like,
And they never came.
they never came.
Dude, hold on a second. So, my whole thing was coke. I did a lot of coke, and it puts you in a similar state where you're like paranoid once you go like beyond the fun.
Right.
You know, when then it's just the addict thing where you just keep going and going and going.
Yeah.
And it's not even doing anything. I would get in like this state where I was convinced of the same thing. Like there was these feds that were going to come from the roof with the rope and swing through and bust the window and like the whole thing. And I'm like, dude, it was so weird. I hate that feeling.
Yeah, dude. Dude, here's the thing. Though.
Ugh.
So so at a very young age, I started slamming heroin and cocaine. I loved heroin and cocaine. I actually thought that I should tell everyone to do it because I had, I think what they describe, the closest description I could see in it is like, and I call it this because I had alcoholism. It's like I had the ism before I started doing the drugs. So like the drugs was like the way I could turn my head off. Like you're a creative and you're a creative. So like you understand when you see a blank shirt in a certain color, you want to put something on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you understand that when you walk into a room and it doesn't have the right lighting, you want to light it. You see the shot before you turn the camera on. So, like, as creatives living in this world where we see all these things and how we could add things to it and where we can make it and things we could paint and all these things that aren't there, it drives you a little crazy. And when you're young and you see all this stuff, it's even harder because now you're explaining to teachers these things that you see and this and these things you can do. And my whole life, and this still happens up until like a year, 2 years ago, people tell me 100 reasons why I can't do them. You can't just become this.
Mm-hmm.
You got to study to do that. This literally just happened when I started college this last time. No, you can't just write a curriculum. You don't have.
Well, let me ask you something. Who are you talking to? Who are all these people?
So the last person would be, Dr. Pollard. He was one of the things. I literally asked him this one day to mentor me. Told him all the things I was gonna do, and he kind of was like, "Nah, it doesn't work like that." I've had people tell me that, yeah, you can do these things, but in third grade, I had Miss Marchant, which was like, no, you can't just go play music. This many people out of this become musicians.
But also think about this. Now, if you ask yourself, where
Right.
did they get that information from?
Right.
You know what I mean? And also, is this person doing what I want to do? And if they're not, then why would I even listen to them if they're not even doing that?
Yeah.
You know, like and then another thing is they can only like see to their level of understanding, which is what you're like, sounds like you were having trouble with, was you had a larger understanding of things, and they're in this like small box, and they're telling you, and they've only been told you can only see this box and this is all you have. So when you're like, yo, I got things outside that box, and they're like, no.
Right.
It challenges their like perception of things, and they're like, no, because that's what they're telling themselves. They're telling themselves they can't do that either. Oh, it doesn't work like that, or you can't do this, or you can't do that, because they tell themselves that. So they push that off on you. They project that shit onto you.
As a young child, though, it was very disheartening.
Oh yeah.
Because I thought that these people were supposed to teach me how to do these things.
Yeah.
My dad at a certain point ended up getting. My dad listened to rock and roll and punk, like I told you. At a certain point, he got. Not that he didn't listen to it, but he stopped dressing like James Dean. He started working insurance, and then he kind of actually told me too that this lifestyle that he thought was a possibility isn't, and you got to get a real job. So now my freaking hero.
That's when his spirit died.
Yeah.
When he stopped being what he thought was his authentic self, and then just conformed to the Matrix.
And now he's out of it big time.
Yeah?
It's super out of it, way out of the box.
Thank
Took
God.
a long time.
Good for him.
Yeah, he literally like has a farm with all the things. He has a wood mill thing now.
Yeah.
He's off the grid kind of right now, which is awesome. But like, so what happened though is I remember the first day that I shot cocaine and heroin together in a syringe into my vein. I realized that day I could do anything.
It gave you the confidence.
It gave me it. It shut all the voices that
I know
stopped.
what you're talking about.
Yeah. The first time that I did both those drugs in a syringe into my vein, it immediately went away. That week I started my first clothing brand. I ended up started my first record label. We released 5, and I did all this on cocaine and heroin. Like those things that used to tell me you can't do the things, the voices in my head that said no, it's not possible. They went fucking out the window.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
And that's why when I first started doing it, I almost wanted to share it with I did. I have that thing on my why I help so many people, particularly in this area, is because at a point I thought these drugs were so good that I should convince everyone to do them. So kind of now how I convince a lot of people to give sobriety a chance, or that I was so good at selling you on how good heroin and cocaine was that like, dude, I convinced a lot of people to fucking go into the darkness because it brought me to the light for a second. You know what I mean?
It was a false light.
It was a false light. that shit was always in me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
Well said.
the thing about the heroin and cocaine,
But at least it showed you that you were capable of being that person. And
It
so
did.
all you really have to do is just be that person without the shit. You
Right.
know? Which you
now,
Which
though,
you are.
I am, and I always have been,
Yeah.
and I agree with people when they talk about schooling is like it. So the biggest investors in the school system was, fuck, dude, what's that fucking company? It's a company, the Rockefellers. This is true. You know about this, right?
Yeah, Rockefeller.
Rockefeller.
Not Jay-Z in there.
Yeah. Sorry, Jay Z. Rockefeller came up
You were
with.
so serious when you said it too.
Yeah, I was
Sorry,
like,
that's what made me laugh.
sometimes it's, you know what I mean. I'm like trying
Yeah.
to get back to the information
It was Bad Boy
and find
Records.
it. But yeah,
No, go
Jay
ahead,
Z's on
sorry.
something else, dude. Him and Puff Daddy, you guys gotta watch those
Yeah,
guys. No, but like,
Watch your ass.
so like and I just learned this in school. It was like, you know, school was a thing to make people workers to go in
Yeah.
and work at the. You
Come
know
on,
what I mean?
talk to him.
So like basically they're like, you know, you're going into school, you're learning obedience, you know what I mean? You're learning how to like sit in a room that you don't want to sit for
Hey,
hours.
think about this.
'Cause
If you
at
look
the time-
if you look at a school
Yeah.
and you look at a prison, it's got a building with chain link fence around it, right? It got guards,
Right.
people. Okay, then you've got the school buses. All right, the school buses look identical to the prison buses. Am
Yep.
I lying? If I'm lying, I'm dying. All right, it's all the same structure.
Right.
It's just teaching you that there's people who have authority over you at a young age, and that you have to go from A to B to C. They're starting to structure you to go from here to here to here, and that's all that is intended for. The Rockefeller, I think it was John D. Rockefeller, said they're not looking to create a nation of thinkers. They're looking to create a nation of workers.
Right.
So that's why they took over the education system. They've taken over the medical system. And I'm not going to go too far into this, but if you guys want, do your own research.
Right. So like, and then I feel like now on the other side of all of this stuff, to have this like deep understanding of self, you know what I mean, has been like the greatest. The thing about drugs is this: I would just get to a point to where I like gave up, because when I feared getting to new places, and rather than walk through the fear with drugs, then I would get more high, and then eventually getting more high because I thought that it would get me like it did the first time, and it never did. So like I'd get to a point, and then I'm scared and I'm filled with fear, because even at today, like at the comedy show when you went to it, and we were talking about this also, the next morning I cried for 2 hours, but I cried in gratitude of what had happened, but that feeling was so new to me that I actually at the time tried to use what I learned in Alcoholics Anonymous about feelings not being facts. And what I tried to do was bypass the gratitude, because it felt I didn't know what I was feeling. So I started doing things like, I'm going to call another person. I'm going to do this. I pulled over and I was like, maybe I should pray and then meditate. But when I pulled over and I started praying a little bit, I was like, no, this is okay to feel. I should feel this. And I kind of then started to realize too, in this last year, that a lot of feelings at this point, I've kind of went through the motions of like not feeling them, because I kind of learned that like I got this far at this point by realizing feelings are feelings. They're not facts, right? Which has kept me sober for a long time, because the fear of feelings is what I got loaded over a lot of times. But it was okay to feel this. It was actually really good.
But you're also chasing a feeling too. So you were chasing that confidence.
Right.
That higher version of you, what you thought was a higher version of you. The guy that was like unstoppable and could walk into any room and say anything and do anything and accomplish anything. You try to find that guy through the drugs too.
Right.
And the same
Yeah.
thing happened with me with Norcos. I would do a lot of Norcos,
Yeah.
and I was on the phones a lot closing deals. I was just always on the phone closing deals, and it just let me talk a lot. I was able to just bah, 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 and I was able to just recite all my stuff and get money. And so I kind of tied the two together, where I always had like a pocket full of Norcos, and I'd just be popping them and just getting on the phone, yapping it up all day, get paid every day. But then, like you said, it starts to become more about getting high than what it was originally doing for me.
Right.
You know, like it was more like I had like these timed, like times I would take the pills at these times, and like everything was so specific at it, like, and it just became like this nasty routine for no reason.
And then too, you kind of like me personally. I'm like, I gotta take the most, and at a certain point, I was just like, oh, because I just gotta take way more.
Yeah.
The craziest part was toward the last successful thing I did was run at this vape company, an e-liquid line, and it's funny too because like on my the soft white underbelly interview I did, people like, oh, I thought that guy from the vape shop died, or like, oh, I was at a customer at the vape shop, and I always knew that guy was on something. It's weird. You do that interview, that channel's so big that it took like 20 years of people that knew me and different instances of people commenting.
Well, you know what's also crazy too, man, is every single person on this planet, even in this room right here, the way you look at me, the way he looks at me, views me, whatever, every single person has a different version of you. So you exist only in your mind. The you that you see in your mind that you are only exists in your mind. I see you differently than you see you. He sees you differently than you see you. It's crazy. So there's so many versions of you that exist out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so like even just the person that passes you by in the gas station, they look at you, they wrote a story about you the second they saw you, right? So now there's another version of you that exists that is not even who you think you are. It's freaking crazy.
Dude, I'm telling you, how much time do we have here?
24 minutes.
All right, because I want to get into this. So another thing that you taught me that I used a lot, that I really want to go in depth because I feel like it's valuable if you want to share this with the people, is the core 4 philosophy.
Yeah, of course. Of course. That's actually not
actually
mine.
want you to fucking do it at NoHo. You know what I mean?
I'd love to.
Yeah.
I'd love to.
We've talked about it in the groups, and I'm always like, dude. But yeah, tell us about the core 4
Where it
philosophy.
started for me was I was doing like 75 hard or something like that. It was at a time where I was just like, you know, after I finished doing the drugs and I had lost my business, I was just kind of like, I don't know where am I going? You know what I mean? Like I'm in this new world and I don't know what we ended up moving to the Pacific Northwest from Southern California. So like I was up in the snow in this weird world, man. Anyways, so I was just trying to find some direction. So like I had heard about 75 hard. This is kind of when it was like newer. And so I was like, all right, that'll help me get somewhere. It'll get me reading, it'll get me working out, eating right, you know, all that good stuff. So I started there. And one of the books that I read it's from this dude named Sean Whalen. He's from Utah. And it's like How to Make Shit Happen or something like that. Yeah. And anyways.
He's the Lion Not Sheep?
Yeah, that dude.
I think I have that book too.
So
it's like this thin.
Yeah, it's a quick read.
Really
it only takes about an hour, really.
Yeah.
I have the audiobook,
like
and he actually reads it. Yeah. He actually reads his own audiobooks, which is cool. So he has his little ad-libs and stuff in there. Anyway, so he has this principle that he calls core 4, where you're feeding the 4 areas, the main area, or actually the only areas of your life, which would be your mind, your body, your relationships, and your business.
Does he call it core 4?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I fucking read that book and I didn't even know.
So he calls it core 4.
I know I had some good takeaways.
Yeah, so with that, you're focusing, you're doing intentional things in these 4 areas of your life. Right. So you're like, you're mapping out your day every single day. You're writing what you want to do with your mind, what you want to do with your body, what you want to do with your relationships, you know, keeping connected with people, and then what you want to do with your business, how you make money. And so he talks about this principle in the book. It's a really good book. I don't want to go too far into it, but the principles are really, really good. And the only thing that I felt the book was missing was actionable steps. How do you do a core four? Like,
Right.
what does that look like?
Yeah.
He doesn't explain like, oh, this is how I do it. He goes, these are the things that I focus on. But
Yeah.
there's no like step by step to do it. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to take what I gathered out of that book and then I'm just going to create my own. And so I made my own, the one that I probably showed you. And so I just did that. And I saw how powerful it was. It was like you become so powerful because you're doing things intentionally every day. You're intentionally feeding your mind. You're intentionally working on your body, feeding your body. You're intentionally working on your relationships, your friendships, and you're intentionally doing actions that move the needle forward in your business.
Right.
So it's just a way to like give yourself the day that you want instead of just waking up and the universe giving you whatever the fuck it wants to give you because you're not asking for anything. You know what I mean? You're just waking up and just, all right, I got to go do this. Maybe I got to do that. Or it's not like that. With the core four, it's like, all right, I'm reading this book. I'm listening to this podcast. I'm going to spend this much time meditation. All right, with my body, I'm going to eat like this today. These are my body parts I'm training. I'll do an ice bath or something.
Yeah.
And then with my relationships, all right, I'm going to write a love letter to my wife, leave it by the coffee maker. I'm going to spend specific time doing specific tasks with my daughters.
Right.
And then I'm going to text like 5 of my friends just to tap in. Hey, how are you doing, man? I'm thinking about you today. Hope you're doing well. Just letting you know you're important to me, whatever. Just keep feeding those relationships. And then with your business, all right, what do I got to do today to put some bread in the account? So I need to learn these skills. So I'm going to go on YouTube. I'm going to spend 30 minutes studying this specific, let's say accounting. I need to figure out my books. So I'm going to spend 30 minutes watching accounting videos and then start applying it. And then eventually with you making deposits in these 4 areas of your life every day, nothing is suffering.
Right.
And what they also explain is like 4 legs on a table. You have a table with 4 legs. If one of those 4 legs was missing or shorter than the others, it would topple over, right? So it's about keeping that balance, keeping the mind, keeping the body, keeping the relationships, and keeping the business moving forward every day so that you're not taking withdrawals from one area or doing more in one area and not the other, and the table tops over.
See, that's a crazy thing, too. So I remember when you taught me it, and this is like something, too, that even now it's like I'm like thinking like, man, I literally am like lacking in some things right now because I'm concentrating so much on one thing. But when you told me about it at the time, my relationship was really strained in like a bad way. You know what I mean? And then I realized that like how easy it was to like fix it with Core 4. While keeping everything else. Right now, I should be doing it again. Because I actually grew.
You don't just do.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing that a lot of people do, and I'm guilty of it too. Like I'm not up here acting like I'm somebody, man.
Right.
I'm human. I have flaws, all that stuff. So, people will do things that make them feel better until they feel better.
Right.
Then they stop doing those things.
Stupid. Too.
And then you go back to feeling like shit, and you wonder why you get stuck in this cycle. It's if it works for you, it's a good habit. Keep it.
Right.
Unless it needs to be evolved into a better habit.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, don't go backwards, replacing good habits with bad habits because those bad habits are what led you to feeling like you did in the first place.
Dude, big time. Dude, that's the thing too. Is like I took with Core 4. Got the relationship better, and which it stayed good. You know what I mean? Because that's anyone who's literally starts thinking about like, oh, I have 7 days a week to apply these like 4 areas and like build them. If you're like to do that for like 6 months, your life is probably gonna be insane.
30 days. I challenge anybody for 30 days.
No,
follow
I'm telling
a Core
you for
4
real.
and
Like
watch.
after you told me that, I took fucking Young Gods pressing in my fucking garage just to like learn it. To like I was like, no, I want to do this as a thing, and like it was like within like 90 days, this was like a profitable business, utilizing Core 4 and like putting things into the boxes like you said, and like mapping it out. Now we're at that like we're at that like jump again. We're like literally at a jump off point, but what's lacking is everything else. Because I'm so concentrated on getting young gods to this next level that everything else is now suffering.
You got to stop doing that.
Right.
You can do them all.
Yeah.
You can.
See, there's something too though about like too, because I remember you're like, you got to take out a piece of paper and like, you got to write it.
Check it out. I already have it. Already exists. It's on my computer now. If you really do want to take it serious, reach out to me, direct message, and I'll give you my template. I'll email it to you too. I have an actual template. All you do is you just print it out. That's it.
Right.
All right. And one thing that is on this PDF that I have that is not in the Core 4 book is that I write down one thing that I'm grateful for every day when I wake up,
That's the best too.
Write all the Core 4 out, and then but before I do all that, I have a line on there that says today I'm grateful for, and then you have to think about it though. Like really close your eyes and like what am I like it could be anything, dude. It could be like I'm in Tim's studio right now, you know what I mean? Like and just be like just feel so grateful that I in this place and whatever. Like I'm here with you. Like I'm here with him right there.
I saw this in my head, and I didn't want to do it any other way.
So, but thing is, but then, think about that. Like literally close your eyes right now and like think about all the shit that you were thinking about and like it's here right now and feel it in your heart. Like breathe it in, feel it in your heart. You'll feel your electromagnetic field get bigger from your heart. It's coming from the heart. You feel it in the chest. It's like, I can't believe this is, it's just here. This is now. I'm so happy right now.
Yeah.
Boom. Your electromagnetic field just got huge. Okay. It went from like just chill.
I wish you had the light thing and you could have made the
magic. And I'm dead ass serious. It expands your field so that you can attract. That's how people who are in such a high vibration attract more because their electromagnetic field is bigger coming from their heart.
Yeah.
Okay. Once you get into that space mentally, what kind of day do I want to have? Then I do the Core 4. Once you get in that space of gratitude where it's like your heart feels, oh my God, fuck yeah. Like, yeah.
Drop it in the comments if you guys want in on this, dude.
Yeah. And then, so if you want it, just hit me up and I'll send you the PDF.
Oh, and big shout out to like the 300 new followers this last month, dude. Like, thank you guys so much, dude.
Let's go.
That's seriously huge as fuck. Like,
yeah.
And watching all my videos too, going back and like running up the numbers of like all the old videos, dude, it's big.
You deserve it, man.
Yeah.
You're putting that energy out there.
What else what do you have going on right now? Anything you want to share? We probably have like 8 minutes? 13.
Easy. So, I'm actually being a lot more private lately as far as disclosing like what I'm doing personally. It's just a choice. I think I've let so many people in for so long that it's like I just want my own. Like, I'll share what I choose to share.
Right.
And usually, like, when I am sharing something, a lot of times it's something with intention. Like, I'm teaching you something or, something that I thought was thought-provoking or whatever. Or, like, I might share, like, something that I'm doing. Like, being out here, going to NoHo yesterday.
Right.
Like, I'll share those small things. But a lot of times, I'll even share it after I left.
Right.
I don't even want to... I don't even want people to know where I'm at when I'm there, you know?
Yeah.
So it's gotten a lot better for me like that. I actually enjoy doing it like that, So as far as like what I'm doing, focusing on myself, I've been doing a lot of journaling and reading a lot of like Stoic books,
right?
And just trying to adopt more of that lifestyle into mine. So like really focusing on my character and my values. And like only aligning with things that fall within those character or values, like there was things before in my past that I would say yes to that I knew weren't right. Just because like I had no values. I had no character. I was a weak man, so I would just do anything. And so now I'm focused more on like being more intentional with my time and my actions, Yeah. So that's what I'm doing lately.
The crazy thing, though, is like, you're definitely one of those people where I almost feel like you don't have to worry about, your reputation before you walk in the room is so much larger than it ever could be with you walking in the room. Like all the people I met from ROQ that knew you, you know what I mean, was like, dude, like every person was like, oh, Tilly, he like put, like I was in a bad spot, he put me on. We connected on such a deep level. I didn't meet anyone who was just like, oh yeah, I know that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There wasn't one. Oh well, one guy was super busy though.
Yeah.
He was like super fucking busy. This guy's like about to like run on and play a show on the stage.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, yeah, all the other guys were just like, or they're like, oh yeah, this guy knows Tilly. Oh, you know Tilly. Like he's the man. Like he's the best. You know what I mean? So it's like,
they're a good group of dudes.
That's a big thing.
Well, it's just the way you carry yourself,
Yeah, no,
brother.
it is.
It's the way you carry yourself.
I
You
mean,
know, I could, if let's say I was like I was before, where I would just we go get drunk, you get shit faced, do dumb stuff, regret it the next day. You wouldn't have that same reaction,
Right.
Well, you probably I know him. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be like because I just move different.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think I'm better than anybody or anything like that. Like I just don't participate in things that I used to because I know it doesn't do good for me.
Right. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't align with who I am now.
Right.
You know, and there's nothing wrong with anybody who does do that. I just don't do it.
Yeah.
You know, that's all.
That I mean, too, the people like me, like right now, I'm just like I'm so glad that every single thing that I went through made me who I am now. And like, dude, I fuck with people who wouldn't fuck with someone like me who did an interview on Soft White Underbelly like I did. And these motherfuckers fuck with me because they know that like I'm a real motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's
Like,
why I'm
and-
sitting here with you.
Yeah. And that's like that, but dude, that's another thing though too of the people who are out there like using or doing whatever, dude. You're literally on your journey, dude. And sometimes it's okay to just be on your journey and sometimes some of those days realize that because a lot of the days that I was out there using and getting high, I also was like praying to God and I was actually asking him, you know, sometimes it's like complete hatred towards the situation, thinking that that was something that he was trying to do to me. But I was still always talking to him, you know what I mean? And like, it's okay to fucking be on your journey. And I always feel like, too, if you're one of those people that can, like, keep that connection with whatever it is outside of you,
That's what saved me, man. You know, I didn't. I tried the rehab thing. I tried the AA, or is it AAA or AA?
I go to AA.
Okay,
There's
and
probably
then
AAA.
and AAA's insurance.
There's everything now.
And then,
Yeah.
okay, and then there's like NA and all that. So I've tried all those, and I never felt like I belonged.
Right.
It was so weird. Like,
Yeah.
it was like, I'll tell you a quick story after this, but I stopped because something made me stop. Like, I woke up, I thought I killed myself. I woke up the next day, and it was just over. It was done. Like, I didn't want it ever again. I didn't, like, it was done, and it's never came back.
Right.
This was after 15 plus years of abuse, of like alcohol and drug abuse, and it just ended because I was begging for it to stop.
Right.
I was like, I don't want this anymore. Like, I'm done with this shit. Like, please. And I couldn't stop it.
Right.
Me personally could not stop it. So much so that I tried to kill myself, and something else had to intervene and stop me.
Right.
Had to pull that feeling out of my body or whatever that was. But it was over, dude. I didn't have to do all the shit in the meetings. But what I was saying was, after my first year of being sober, I had been doing the 75 hard, my core 4. I was in great shape. I was eating well. My mind was like, you know, you mentioned having like schizophrenia after you stopped and shit like that. Well, I had this, I used to fire on all cylinders a lot, really fast.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I couldn't fucking make a single decision. And it was like, I need my brain back, and it wasn't coming back. And then over that year of time, it did. Anyway, so I went to this AA meeting, and I was like, hey, you get the year chip and all that good stuff. And I shared, I was like, look, these meetings weren't what helped me. And I was being honest. I wasn't going to go in there and just try to sugarcoat something. I was like, what really helped me was discipline.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't do any, I didn't like allow any of these things into my life anymore. If it wasn't on the path that I'm currently on, it doesn't exist. I don't give a shit how tempting it is. If it's not here with what I'm doing right now, fuck it. And so I was like, it was just discipline. It was discipline. I like disciplining my mind.
Yeah.
And one guy, he interjects like angry. He's like, I was a Marine for blah, 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 blah. I have all the discipline in the world and I still did it. And I was like, well, you're full of shit. Because if that was true, you would be agreeing with me. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because it was discipline. I didn't allow anything to, no matter what I felt, like you said, feelings aren't real. No matter what I felt, it didn't matter.
Right.
I was never going to drink again, and I was never going to use anything again, and I was never going to go do anything like that. Like, and that was it.
Right.
And that was it.
Yeah, the crazy thing about me doing the steps was just like literally having the realization that like everything in this world is gonna happen in God's time, and I'm no longer the conductor of. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's just gonna happen, and
Accepting
having
though.
this pure, deep acceptance. And
But
we
you
even
also
talked
understand
about
that
this
you're.
too.
But that's not entirely true.
Yeah.
You are a co-creator. Okay, you are not the creator, so you have no ultimate control. But you do have a level of control
Right.
of where you can navigate the ship, but you can't navigate those water. I mean, you can't control the water.
Right.
You can steer the ship in the direction you're trying to go. You can be one of those people that just doesn't do shit and watches Netflix all day, or you can be a co-creator in your universe and go do something with your creator.
Yeah.
And that creator may say, all right, well, we're going to do it like this instead. Whatever.
like
But
that
you're still
happens
going
a
in that
lot.
direction.
Yeah. I feel like it's a. I've been like doing the bumper cars or like that bumper lane kind of thing.
For
like
sure.
With the bowling alley right now.
But you didn't
Yeah.
just lay over and just.
But I didn't just lay over.
Yeah.
No.
No, you
very
kept
active
swinging. You kept
yeah.
believing. You know, there's something like instinctively in you, just like me, just like him, that tells you that I'm special. I have something that matters in this world. I am something that matters, even though that might just be your ego. Either way, there's a gut feeling,
Right.
and that gut feeling is the most important thing. You listen to your gut. If it's telling you that you need to live like this, and you need to think like this, and you need to be like this, or whatever you want to create like this, then do that.
Right.
Because if you don't, you're not going to be aligned, and you're going to have all kinds of mental issues, man. Depression, anxiety, and all that other shit.
What do we have? 1 minute? 4?
4 minutes.
All right, I'm going to give one tip
Give it the
on
tip.
getting sober. When I was fighting to try to figure this shit out, there was a book that I read. I don't know what it's called. I couldn't tell you. It actually might be in my audiobook library. But something that I read in this book said, and this is what I applied to it, was to add a negative emotion to what it is that you're trying to quit. So for me, it was the coke and alcohol. What I did was I would think about all the bad shit that would happen from me drinking. All those times I let my family down, all those times that I said and did these things that I knew I shouldn't have done. I thought about that stuff and I linked the two. It's called anchoring an emotion. So I anchored that emotion to that thought. So whenever, and still to this day, if I think about drugs or alcohol, I actually physically get sick to my stomach because I've anchored it in so deep. So whenever you do get those temptations, you'll be like, oh, fuck that. Like, no way. Because you've anchored such a negative emotion to it. What we've done before is like you said, you were trying to chase that first time you got high, right? Because you anchored that emotion of how you felt, those endorphins, and how you felt in that time. You anchored that feeling and tied it to doing the coke and heroin together or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Okay, do the opposite of that. Anchor the worst possible emotion that you can to that. And so
Right.
when that trigger happens, you're disgusted and you don't even like, fuck that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
No way. That's what I did.
We got 2 minutes right here. So do you want to put your Instagram, or you said you
Yeah.
want them to email you?
Well, DM me, I said, I said I would email it to you.
Just say it right now.
All
for
right.
the listeners.
So on Instagram, it's king_Tilley, TILLEY.
Yeah, and plus, thank you guys. One big shout out to everyone listening on all the different platforms. I know not everyone watches this on YouTube. We have more listeners right now, but this will be uploaded to YouTube. If you're on YouTube, hit the like, subscribe, all that good stuff. You can follow us on Trash Can Talk Podcast at Instagram. And we got the trashcantalkpodcast.com website with merchandise and all that stuff on there. Thank you for tuning in.
That's a tongue twister.
It was, huh?
Yeah, you killed it though. Good job, man.
See